शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। वज्रनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करम्। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Namaskaram all of you, and welcome to the 29th session of Narayaniyam for Dasakam 19, the story of Prachina Barhis and Prachetas. We saw back to back in Dasakam 17 and 18 how Sri Narayana Bhattadri summarized, although in fleeting detail, the steadfast devotion of eternal Dhruva in the glorious Dhruva charitam, and that of Emperor Prithu, a partial incarnation of Brahman, as the foremost emperor who ever ruled the Mother Earth since the advent of creation. After describing Prithu's story, Bhattadri takes up the stories of Prithu's great-grandson Prachina Barhis and his 10 sons, commonly called Prachetas. These are narrated in Srimad Bhagavata Mahapuranam, Canto 4, chapters 24 to 31. Those 8 chapters are condensed into just 10 slokams of Dasakam 19 of Narayaniyam. Prutotstu dapta pratudharmakarmataha Prutotstu napta pratudharmakarmataha Prachina barhi yuvato sadadruto Prutotstu napta pratudharmakarmataha Prachina barhi yuvato sadadruto Prachetaso nama suchetasah sutan ajijanat tvat karuna guradiva ajijanat tvat karuna guradiva. Prutostu napta pratu dharma karmataha prachina barhihi yuvatau shatadrutau prachetaso nama suchetasas sutan ajijanat tvat karunankuraniva. Emperor Prithu's son was Vijitaswa and grandson was known as Havirdhana. Barhishat was Havirdhana's son. Like his great-grandfather Prithu, Barhishat was highly virtuous and deeply interested in various Vedic rituals in which he was quite proficient. He performed many major sacrifices and minor ones too. In all these yajnas or sacrifices, it was necessary to keep the blades of kusha grass with their pointed ends turned eastwards. As these sacrifices were conducted continuously one after the other, at yagashalas or sites close to each other, the entire land was covered with kusha grass pointing eastward. This earned Barhishad the name Prachina Barhis. In course of time, Prachina Barhis became a great Prajapati. He carpeted the world with dharma grass, with its head turned towards the east, and thus got the name Prachi Barhis, Prachina Barhis. He performed great penance and married Savarna or Shatadruti, daughter of the deity of oceans. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, she was so beautiful and charming in every limb that the fire god Agni himself developed a passion towards her. The moment he saw her going around the fire during the wedding ceremony, very richly ornamented. And Prachina Barhis and Shatadruti had 10 worthy and remarkable sons. All the 10 bore the common name of Prachetas. All were equally virtuous and lived with mutual respect and love for one another. They were so noble that it seemed as though they were the embodiment of the Lord Almighty's grace on Prachina Barhis. Bhattacharya uses an unusual yet felicitous simile, Suchetasaha ivatvat karuna ankuran. It looked as though Bhagavan's compassion manifested as 10 sprouts known as the 10 Prachetas. Pituho sisruksha niratasya sasanat bhavatapasya bhirata dashapite payonidim paschimamedya tattade sarovaram sandadrishugu manoharam manoharam sandadrishugu manoharam. Pitu sisruksha niratasya sashanat bhavat tapasya bhirata dashapite payonidim paschimametya tattade sarovaram sandadrishuhu manoharam. Prachina Barhis, true to the nature of a Prajapati, was very much interested in increasing the progeny of his lineage, since he was ordained to do so. Therefore, he ordered his sons to engage in the task of creation. The Prachetas steadfast believed that your grace, Bhagavane, O Guruvāyūrappa, was essential for any effort to be fruitful. Therefore, they decided to do a great penance and reach the shores of the Western Sea in search of a proper place to do penance. There they came upon a charming divine lake which attracted the mind of everyone and was as extensive as the sea or Samudra. They all performed penance for 10,000 years, lying submerged in water, meditating on Mahavishnu. Brahma persuaded Prachina Barhis to request his sons from remaining unmarried this way for such a length of time, 10,000 years. Prachina Barhis then intervened at the instance of Brahma and conveyed to his sons the great Lord Brahma's wish. Mahavishnu also pleased. Mahavishnu was so pleased that he appeared in front of them on the surface of the ocean itself with the brilliance of blue lotus. Prachetas went into ecstasy when they saw Bhagavan coming to them riding on the back of Garuda, and they bowed down in great devotion before Mahavishnu. Bhagavan granted them the boon they asked for, and the Prachetas went back to their father. This is highlighted in chapter 14 of Vishnu Purana in Amsa 1. Tada bhavattirtamidam samagato bhavet sevaka darshanadrudaha. Tada bhavattirtamidam samagato bhavat sevaka darshanadrudaha. Prakasamasadya pura prachetasam upadijade bhaktadamaha tavastavam prachetasam upadishade bhaktatamattavastavam. तदा भवत्तीर्थमिदं समागतो भवो भवत्सेवक दर्शनादृतः प्रकाशम् आसाद्य पुरः प्रचेतसाम् उपादिशत् भक्ततमः तवस्तवम्. O Guruvayurappa, the lake seen by the Prachetas is no different than the divine pond situated on the northern side of your great temple at Guruvāyūr, where your presence can be visibly felt by your devotees. The lake was dear to Lord Shiva and he used to frequent the lake. Lord Shiva himself, being devoted to you, O Guruvayurappa, was so eager to see your other devotees worshipping you. Is it not a pleasure for your devotees to meet both Shiva and yourself at the same place? I am aware Lord Shiva never differentiated you from himself. So, his bhaktas or your bhaktas as well always. Therefore, with great admiration, Shiva manifested himself before the Prachetas and imparted to them a great hymn on you, which is now known as Rudra Geetam, capable of conferring instant benefits. But there is use of the expression Bhavat Tirthamidam, in other words, this your lake, indicates this. There is no mention of such a lake in Bhagavatam, but explicitly stated in the Guru Pavanapura Mahatmyam, the greatness of Guruvāyūr Sthala-puráñam, this Tirtham has been elaborated. The recitation of Rudra Geetam is considered to be very efficacious, and even today devotees who want Putra Bhagyam repeat the hymn standing in the waters of the temple pond as the Prachetas did, and also go to Mammiyur to pray to Sri Mahashiva. This hymn, consisting of 47 slokas, appears in Bhagavatam in Canto 4 in chapter 24, slokas 33 to 79. The 10,000 years of penance performed by Prachetas in this particular lake is described by Bhattadri in the next slokam. Stava japantastamami jalantare Japantah tam ami jalantare bhavantamase vishata ayutam samaha bhavantamase vishata ayutam samaha bhavatsuka aswadara sadamishu bhavatsuka aswadara sadamishu Iyan babuva kalo druvavate nashikrata druvavate nashikrata. Stavam japantaha tam ami jalantare bhavantamase vishataha ayutam samaha bhavatsukha Asvadarasad Amishu Iyan Babuva Kalo Dhruvavat Na Shigrata. Oh Bhagavane, the Prachetas worshipped you for 10,000 years, standing in the middle of the neck-deep waters of the lake, which means the present tank in front of the temple of Guruvāyūr, and repeating the divine hymn Rudra Geetam imparted to them by Mahadeva, Lord Shiva. In this context, a succinct description of the greatness of the temple tank, known as Rudra Tirtha, will also be quite apt. Long ago, when Dwaraka was submerged in the sea, at the end of Lord Krishna's ascent to his abode after the incarnation, Brihaspati, the preceptor of the Devas, and Vayu, the wind god, were asked to install Krishna's idol worshipped in Dwaraka in a proper place for the devotees of Kali Yuga. Celestially traveling with the idol in search of a suitable site, Guru and Vayu came upon a beautiful lake in Keralam near the shores of the Western Sea. Bhagavan Mahadeva appeared there instantly and told them, Pratishtabhayamastane bimbame tat Pratishtabhayamastane bimbame tat Ashamshayam Atraiva svastaye bhuyat लोकानामिति निश्चितो अत्रैव स्वस्थये भूयात् लोकानाम् इति निश्चितो प्रचेतसाम् इह एवागम् मद्गीतम् उपदिष्टवान् पूर्वमेव प्रियतरो ममेतत् स्थानो उत्तमो अम्बापुरे निवासो मे भवेत् अम्बिकया समो. प्रतिष्ठापय मत्स्थाने बिम्बमेतत् असंशयम् अत्रैव स्वस्थये भूयात् लोकानामिति निश्चितम् प्रचेतसामिह प्रवाहम् मद्गीतम् उपदिष्टवान् पूर्वमेव प्रियतरम् मम एतत् स्थानम् उत्तमम् अम्बापुरे निवासो मे भवेत् अम्बिकया समम्. This is from Guru Pavanapura Mahatmyam. Install this idol at my present place without any hesitation. This place was marked out long ago, which would be most suitable for the good of the world. It is at this place that I have imparted the hymn of mine to the Prachetas. May my residence be at Ambapuram, located on the eastern side, along with Ambika, which has been to my liking even earlier. It may be recalled that according to the Sthala-puráñam, the history of the place, Lord Shiva voluntarily vacated his residence from Guruvāyūr to a place known as Mammiyur, even today called Mammiyur, which is about 1,000 yards away and which is even today a great Shiva temple worshipped by all devotees who visit Guruvāyūr. In fact, there is a tradition that most of the devotees follow, that they first go to Mammiyur and then only come to Guruvāyūr to have darshan of Guruvāyūrappan. The lake mentioned above is today none other than Rudra Tirtha, which is the present temple tank at the Guruvāyūr temple, where Lord Shiva imparted the hymn Rudra Geetam to the Prachetas. It is said that as enjoined by Shiva, the Prachetas meditated on Vishnu, standing in the waters of the lake for 10,000 years, as described in the next sloka by Narayana Bhattadri. According to the story, Guru and Vayu, Dakshine Saraswati Same Sanmruktike Shubhe Divyam Tad Vigraham Vishnoho Pratitapya Yadavidihi. Guru and Vayu constructed this great temple on the auspicious good site on the southern bank of the lake and installed a divine idol of Bhagavan Vishnu as per Vedic rites. This Dasakam may also be the most appropriate place to digress a bit about why Prachetas chose Keralam and what is the origin of the land known as Keralam, which often is referred to as Malayala Desham and Parashurama Kshetram, where Mahabali is worshipped as an incarnation of Lord Supreme. As luck would have it, His Holiness Kanchi Chandra-sekharendra Saraswati Swamigal, also known as Mahaperiyava, had spoken on that subject convincingly, and no one has differed with that kind of analysis so far. Long ago, when most of the Bharat had faced strong challenges to Vedic way of life, one of the areas where Vedic Anushtana had not been given up completely was Kerala Desham. It is believed that Lord Dakshinamurti decided that he would be born as a son to a very pious Brahmin couple in Malayala Desham of Kerala, in a village known as Kaladi, as most of you may be aware. Bhagavad Pada's parents were Shiva Guru and Aryambal. When we say Bhagavad Pada, it only denotes one person, Adi Shankara. This was about 2,300 years ago. Let us see the geographical and historical background of Kerala Desham or Keralam. You all know that Malayala Desham is located on the southwestern corner or southwestern coast of the long series of hills known as Western Ghats. Kerala or Keralam is the Sanskrit word. Kera is coconut, and the entire area is a forest of coconut trees, hence the name Keralam. On the one side are the hills, that is Malai, and on the other side is Aram, meaning deep waters. That came from Ari. Aram came from Ari. Malai, you know well. So the word came from Malai plus Aram, which is Malayalam, which became, over a period of time, Malayalam. Here is the anecdote as to how this narrow strip of land came into existence from the Puranic lore. Lord Parashurama vanquished and destroyed 21 generations of Kshatriya kings and took their kingdom or lands all over Bharat. In extraordinary rage and retributive justice, the whole earth came under Parashurama's control. By that time, he was seized by remorse and absolute regret. And Parashurama thought to himself, having taken birth and pursued life as a Brahmana, what have I done? It is regrettable that instead of doing good to humanity by my birth and duty, I have ended up killing so many generations of human beings. While a late regret or realization aside, how can I get away from the responsibility of ruling over all these lands and humans and the rest of creation that has befallen in my hands now, that I have to administer and manage? I should not be, and I don't want to be mired in the worldly affairs of administration and management. That's not the purpose of my avatara. This decision of Parashurama prompted his donating all the lands of Mother Earth and the creation to the great Kashyapa Maharishi. Who was Kashyapa? He was the son of Marichi, one of the Manasputras of Brahma, and thus the grandson of the creator Brahma, who happens to be the son of Brahman ever since the advent of creation. Because all the animated forms of the creation came into being from Kashyapa Prajapati, Parashurama rightly decided to hand them over to him. People born in Manu's lineage are Manusha or Manushya by etymology. The origination for word man is from Manu and thereby Manusha or Manushya. Manu was the grandson of Kashyapa through Vivaswan. Not only that, as you may remember, that while tracing the genealogy in another session, we saw how Kashyapa was the originator of Devas from Kamadhenu born to Aditi. Daityas through Diti, Adityas through Aditi, Dhanavas from Dhanu, Rakshasas being created unaware when Brahma was angry and agitated from his foot, Nagas and many others. They were all the creations because Kashyapa was the originator for all of them. Though there are many Prajapatis, only Kashyapa Prajapati is uniquely called Prajapati. So let him manage all these men and lands and do whatever. That is how Parashurama thought, and donated everything that he acquired from all the generations of Kshatriyas which he annihilated. Simply gifted them to Kashyapa. Mahabharata says, if you have a house and given that as a donation to somebody, can you continue to occupy there after gifting? By saying, after all, I gifted it to you, why not I occupy for some time? Pariva used to laugh. How is it possible? Once you have gifted, that's it. You have to relinquish every one of your rights and walk away. That is how Parashurama thought. Having given away everything as a gift, it's not correct for me to stay here anymore. Let me find a suitable place for me to stay and do my penance for atonement by Mahatapas. Kashyapa could read Parashurama's dilemma. He therefore escalated the situation by saying, Please do not think of claiming ownership on any part of the land that you have already gifted away. Better go outside the outermost borders of this whole land. Parashurama started out. He went to the western ghats on the western borders of the whole of South India and reached the Sahyadri range, spreading to 1,000 miles, and ascended the mountain peak known today as Anamalai, or the Peak of Elephants or Elephant Peak. Close to the western side of Sahyadri was the vast sea. Those days, there was no Kerala or Keralam or Malayala Desham, but only sea water adjoining the mountain range, as though water was just seeding from the mountains. Practically no strip of land. Parashurama spoke to the Samudra Raja, the Lord of the Oceans. "Oh, King of Oceans, all the lands that I have captured have been given away as my gift or in charity, and as I have endowed them to Kashyapa. So I have no place to stay, and I cannot live anywhere on those lands, because I have clearly instructed Kashyapa that I gifted to them, and thereby Kashyapa clearly instructed me that I cannot live on any part of his land. I simply cannot disappear or go anywhere to the heavens now, since I have been ordained to be one of the Chiranjeevis, and the purpose of my incarnation will not be complete until Pralaya. There is a command of the Brahman that I should do tapasya forever for the sake of the well-being of the entire world, as long as Pralaya has not occurred and until the advent of Pralaya, which is the only atonement for whatever I did, whether it is fully justified or not. That's the way I have to spend my rest of my life in this creation. I therefore seek your benign help for some spatial adjustment. Can you withdraw yourself a little away from these range of mountains? And can you create some middle ground of the western range of mountains, a small place for me to live? Because I cannot live anywhere up to the mountains. I won't be able to live in waters. I need a place. If you recede a bit and create a space between the mountain range and your waters, that place is sufficient for me." Knowing Parashurama to be a great Brahmana, but very quick to take offense, Samudra Raja decided to give Parashurama as wide a margin as possible so that he could choose whatever and wherever he wanted, as far as he wanted to live inside. Samudra Raja told Parashurama, "Dear Lord, in your hands you hold that parashu, or the axe, which you got from doing Mahatapas to Parameshwara. Throw it as far as possible in the sea, and I shall recede my waters to that point where the axe falls. Say up to the point beyond where the water drops are thrown up by the impact of your axe, and make all that newly created land from Sahyadri completely available to you. That will be my commitment." So Parashurama did that, and water from the impact of his axe splashed in all directions, many miles in the north-south direction, and much less in the east-west axis. All that area became exposed to the sun, and the sea completely withdrew from that land. That is the Malayala Desham, or Keralam, also called Parashurama Kshetram. There are many anecdotes and Sthala-puráñams, not to mention the various stories of curious devotees attempting to spin some dramatic mythical stories and insert into the Sthala-puráñams. Let us now see the story of Guru and Vayu establishing in Kali the Lord Guruvāyūrappan or Guruvāyūr. Though the main story about the idol is averred to be the story of Lord Krishna, its antiquity goes long back, since it is believed to have been created by Lord Vishnu himself. The anecdote, what I refer to now, is mentioned in the section Guru Pavanapura Mahatmyam from the lofty Narada Purana. King Parikshit, the grandson of Arjuna and the son of Abhimanyu, died of a bite by the poisonous snake king Takshaka due to a curse which fell upon Parikshit. Parikshit's son King Janamejaya wanted to avenge his father's death by killing all the snakes, including Takshaka, and for that he conducted a very fierce yajna called Sarpa Yajna, or snake sacrifice. Thousands of innocent snakes died in the sacrificial fire, but Takshaka could not be killed because he had tasted Amrita, which is said to give permanence. Due to this act, though done in the name of a yajna, Janamejaya was affected by the curse of snakes and got affected by the worst form of leprosy, especially when he touched the most beautiful wife on the night of his wedding. Despite having all the comforts and royal treatments at hand, being a Chakravarti, Janamejaya could not be cured and almost lost hope and wanted to conclude his life. At that time, as per one version, Lord Dattatreya himself appeared in front of him and directed him to go to Lord Hari in Guruvāyūr for cure. Another commonly accepted version of Guruvāyūr Mahatmyam maintains that sage Atreya, the son of sage Atri, came to visit him, told Janamejaya to worship Bhagavan Mahavishnu standing as a child in Guruvāyūr, that is in the form of Balakrishna. He then also told King Janamejaya the glory of the temple. As per Atri, long ago in the beginning of Padmakalpa, when Lord Brahma was busy in his work of creation, Lord Mahavishnu appeared before him upon Brahma's penance. When the Hiranyagarbha, namely the Brahma, told that he and his creations want mukti without the bondage of karma, Lord Vishnu smiled and made an idol himself and presented it to his friend and first son, Brahma. Lord Brahma then worshipped the idol with a deep obeisance for a long time, and in Svetavaraha Kalpa, gifted it to a sage named Sutapas and his wife Prishni, who were meditating upon Bhagavan Vishnu to be gifted with a child. Sutapas and Prishni continued their intense penance after getting the idol, and finally Bhagavan appeared before them. When the divine couple, Sutapas and Prishni, expressed their wish 3 times, not once, repeatedly, that Bhagavan be born to them as a son, which is that they want a son like the Lord again and again and again, Bhagavan told that he himself would be born to them as their son again 3 times, which means for each one of their wish, Bhagavan said yes. So in 3 successive births, and in all the 3 births, they could worship this idol which was made by himself. This is how Bhagavan tells them. You worship the idol, and each time you will get a son. My avatara will come as your son. As he said in his first birth in Satyayuga, Bhagavan took birth as Prashni-garbha, the son of Sutapas and Prishni. In that birth, he prophesied the importance of Brahmacharya and gave darshanam to his devotee Dhruva, to whom he made a special universe called Dhruvaloka. When Sutapas and Prishni were reborn as Kashyapa and Aditi, Bhagavan took birth as their son Vamana in Treta Yuga. Finally, when they were reborn as Vasudeva and Devaki, the same Sutapas and Prishni, when they became Vasudeva and Devaki, Bhagavan took birth for the 3rd time, but this time in Dwapara Yuga, as their 8th son, Lord Krishna himself. In all the 3 births, they had the fortune to worship the holy idol of Bhagavan Vishnu, made by Bhagavan himself. After coming back from his Gurukulam, Lord Krishna took the idol worshipped by his parents to Dwaraka, his new abode. He built a temple for the idol there and show to the outside world as to the need for daily worship by himself, doing such worship to the idol despite being the Purnavatara or Purna Parabrahman himself. Finally, Dwapara Yuga ended. Now it was time for the Lord to return to his original abode. Before leaving for Vaikuntha, he called his friend and disciple Uddhava and told that Dwaraka would be deluged by a serious tsunami in 7 days, and that the only non-natural survivor of the flood will be the divine idol worshipped by his parents in 3 births. He thus advised Uddhava to hand over the idol to Brihaspati, the guru of Devas, who would then become at that moment and settle down in Badrika Ashram for doing penance for the rest of the time awaiting Mahapralaya after Kali Yuga. As the Lord prophesied, there came a huge tsunami, swallowing everything on its way. Dwaraka, which was filled with beautiful palaces and gardens and lush greenery, was completely engulfed and thereby submerged. Uddhava had already left for Badrikashram for doing penance, and before leaving, he called Brihaspati and informed him about what Krishna told him about the idol. By the time Brihaspati reached Dwaraka, everything was over. He was blessed to notice the holy idol of Lord Vishnu floating on the sea, giving the feeling of Naimittika Pralaya, and little Krishna floating on the banyan leaf. Brihaspati was overjoyed, but he could not go near the idol due to the nature of tsunami and the floods, and also it was floating towards the other side, not towards his side. Then he pleaded to Vayu, the wind god, who also happened to be one of his great disciples. Vayu, with the help of Varuna, the sea god, created huge waves towards the point where Brihaspati was standing. Thereby, Brihaspati could easily pick the idol in his hands, but he could not decide where to install it. Suddenly, sage Parasurama appeared in front of them and told them to install the idol in an apt location in Bhargava Kshetra or Parasurama Kshetra, namely the land leveled by him with his axe, now known as Keralam or Malayalam. According to the wishes of the sage, Brihaspati and Vayu took the idol in their hands and traveled by skies southwards through the sky to find an apt location in Bhargava Kshetra. Suddenly, they saw a huge, beautiful lake on the western side of Bhargava Kshetra, but closer to the sea. Nearby, there was lush greenery, birds chirping, animals running happily. Gentle breeze and happiness spread everywhere. Brihaspati and Vayu realized something divine there. No sooner they saw Bhagavan Shiva and Goddess Parvati dancing on the shore of the lake, namely the Rudra Tirtha. Brihaspati and Vayu prostrated before the Lokanayaka Divya Dampati, Shiva and Parvati. Vagarta viva samprukto Vagarta viva samprukto Vagarta pratipattaye Vagarta viva samprukto Vagarta pratipattaye Jagata pitaro vande Parvati Parameshwaro Jagata Pitaro vande Parvati Parameshwaro Parvati Parameshwaro Parvati Parameshwaro Vagartamiva Sampruptau Vagarta Pratipattaye Jagata Pitaro vande Parvati Parameshwaro. Kalidasa said this in Raghuvamsha. Lord Shiva told them that he was waiting for their arrival and that the apt location for installing the idol of Lord Vishnu was nowhere else than where they were standing. He also told that it was there the 10 princes called Prachetas who came for penance upon Lord Vishnu's order for attaining the status of Prajapati, and he inducted them unto Rudra Gita to them. Lord Shiva then declared that since the idol is to be installed by Brihaspati, Guru, with the help of Vayu, the place will be known as Guruvāyūpuram or Guruvātapuri, or Pavanapuri, and devotees will find solace from the troubles of Kali Yuga. After hearing this, Brihaspati called Vishwakarma, the divine architect, and told him to construct a temple for the idol worshipped so many yugas. Vishwakarma constructed the temple within minutes with all the necessary components to put a fantastic temple there. Brihaspati and Vayu installed the idol with all the necessary rituals prescribed in Agamas. Lord Vishwa performed the first puja to the deity. Demigods headed by Indra showered flowers, sage Narada sang songs, Shiva and goddess Parvati, who were present throughout the divine movement of installation, declared that out of his love and respect for his other incarnation, Vishnu, would be shifting to a place on the opposite bank of the lake, which later came to be known as Mamiyo. In other words, Lord Shiva gave that place so that there are no conflicts between devotees. That kshetram will be Guruvāyūr, whereas he himself will relocate him close by, which will be known as Mamiyur, where Sri Rudra, Bhagavan Lord Shiva, originally appeared as a Swayambhuva Linga and settled down with Shakti and their children Ganesha, Kartikeya, and Shasta, which even today you can go and happily enjoy the darshanam. Since the idol was installed by Brihaspati and Vayu, the deity came to be known as Guruvāyūrappan, meaning the father or lord of Guruvāyūr. It is considered that Lord Vishnu resides here with his full power as in Vaikunta, and thus the place is called Bhuloka Vaikuntham. Bhagavan Krishna ordained that a darshan there is deemed complete only by worshipping Lord Shiva in Mamiyur first, something similar to the strong belief and rule that before worshipping the Lord of Tirumala Hills, Sri Venkateshwara, the devotees should first prostrate to Svedavarahamurti, Vishnu incarnate, and thereby we still believe in Shri Varaha Venkateshwara. Upon hearing this from Narada, Janamejaya proceeded to Guruvāyūr along with his family and stayed worshipping and enjoying the Bhagavat Rupa Saundaryam. During these days, Janamejaya worshipped the Lord with deep devotion and also visited Mamiyu to worship Lord Shiva before his Trikala Puja. Finally, on the day before the end of his worship, he had a darshan of Lord Krishna, Guruvāyūrappan, when his disease was totally cured. This was yet another reason, or maybe the strong reason, for Mepattur Narayana Bhattathiri's absolute faith on his guru, Tirukandiyur Achyuta Pisharoti, who gave him the story completely and who counseled him to go to Guruvāyūr to get cured of his ailment. Let us now get back to our story on Prachetas and Narayaniyam. The author raises the question as to why the Prachetas had to do such a long penance and answers the same in the second line of the sloka. Does the long penance mean that the Prachetas lacked intensity in their devotion? Or was the Lord not kind enough to them, had to wait for 10,000 years? Or was it that the hymn Rudra Geetam imparted by Lord Shiva himself ineffective, that Prachetas still had to, in spite of their devotion, do a penance for 10,000 years? The author sets at rest all such doubts and questions and interprets the long duration of the penance to the innate desire of the Prachetas themselves to be continuously in the state of enjoyment of the bliss derived from worshipping the Lord. They had absolutely no desire that the Lord should appear soon or that they should get extraordinary boons from him. On the contrary, they even had a lurking desire that the Lord should not appear to them too soon, as that would break the ecstasy and spell of enjoyment of bliss they were having by their sheer penance. Thus, because of their deep desire to be in the state of Brahmic bliss, the Lord did not appear before them in a brief time, while he did appear too soon in the case of his great devotee Dhruva, who took intense penance with the sole objective of finding a solution for his sorrow at the earliest. The Lord's delay in the case of prachetas as well as his hurry in the case of child devotee both show his kindness, compassion, karunyam, and affection to the devotees. In the next sloka, the author describes the liberation of Prachina Barhis, father of the Prachetas, as a sequel to their long and severe penance. Tapobhiresham atimatravardhibihi Tapobhiresham atimatravardhibihi Sayajnahimsa Niratopi bhavitaha Pitapi tesham grihayatanarada Pitapi tesham grihayatanarada Pradarshitaatma Bhavatatmatam yayo Bhavatatmatam yayo Narada pradarshitaatma Bhavatatmatam yayo. Tapobhiresham atimatra vardhibihi sayajnahimsa nirutopi pavitaha pitapi tesham grihayata narada pradarshitaatma bhavatatmatam yayo. Prachina Barhis was keen on conducting sacrifices. He had killed many cows in the various rituals he had undertaken. Some karma yogis argue or contend that there was no sin in killing a cow for the sake of sacrifice. But most of the acharyas, who are well versed in Vedic scriptures, hold the strongest view that killing, even if it were in connection with a sacrifice, is nevertheless a great sin, according to Mahabharata. Therefore, such great acharyas and learned scholars absolutely advocate making the form only of a cow or some other animal with the rice flour, splicing that as pieces of pindam, if at all you want to maintain and follow this scriptural order and performing the sacrifice. In some acharyas, skip that portion and only offer whatever is available, fruits and flowers. Similarly, those who follow the path of renunciation have engaged themselves in spiritual pursuits, desirous of attaining liberation, quote authorities in order to emphasize that rituals will not lead anyone to liberation, and that killing of any and all animals in any sacrifice is indeed a sin. In spite of these divergent views, Prachina Barhis was finally released from all those ritualistic sins because of the long and severe penance of his sons, which purified him absolutely. At that time, the divine sage Narada came to his palace. He imparted knowledge of the self to the king. After that, leaving instructions to his sons to take care of the people, the royal sage retired to the hermitage of sage Kapila to practice asceticism. He constantly meditated on the lotus feet of Lord Govinda with great devotion and concentration of mind. He was also completely rid of all attachments. As a result, he attained a form identical to that of the Lord, Sarupya form of liberation. Krupabhalenaiva puraprachetasam Krupabhalenaiva puraprachetasam Prakashamaga Paragendra Vaganam Krupabhalenaiva puraprachetasam Prakashamaga Paragendra Vaganam Viraji chakradi varayudam subhihi bhujabihi attabihi udanchitadyudihi Viraji chakradi varayudam subhihi bhujabihi attabihi udanchitadyudihi Krupabhalenaiva puraprachetasam prakashamagaha patakendra vahanaha viraji chakrati varayudam shubhihi bhujabihi ashtabihi udanchidadyutihi. Oh Bhagavane, the Prachetas spent a long time in your worship without soliciting or keen on your early manifestation. They were content as true devotees with the enjoyment of just the bliss derived from your worship alone. Yet, out of your abounding grace, Guruvāyūrappa, you manifested before them, seated on Garuda and resplendent with 8 arms, holding all your divine weapons. Here, Bhattadri uses the expression Prakāsamāgāha, implying that the Lord was already present in the Prachetas' hearts, but now made himself visible to their external eyes. The Lord grants boons to the Prachetas unasked. This is described in the next 2 slokas, 7 and 8 from Bhattadri. Prachetasam tavadaya chatamapi Prachetasam tavadaya chatamapi Tvameva karunya paradvaranadaha Tvameva karunya bharat varanadaha Bhavat vichintavi shivaya dehinam Bhavatyasau rudranutihi cha kamadaya Bhavat vichintavi shivaya dehinam Bhavatyasau rudranutihi cha kamadaya Rudranutihi cha kamadaya Prachetasam tavad ayachatamapi Tvameva karunya bharad varanadaha Bhavat vichintapi shivaya dehinam Bhavatyasau rudranutihi kamada. Oh Bhagavane, Prachetas did not know what to do when you appeared before them. They were just immersed in the supreme joy of seeing you and did not know how to extol you or welcome you. You, out of sheer grace and compassion to them, gave them boons even without their asking. This is a very important topic. When a pure bhakta stands in front of God or thinks of God and doesn't ask for any boon, only enjoys the bliss of the vision, Bhagavan knows what to give, how to give, in what quantity and quality, and when to give. You said to them, O Prachetas, I am pleased with all of you as you have observed the same sacred vows by virtue of your amity. One who remembers you every day at dusk will not only have the same affection for his brothers as for himself, but will also cherish friendly feelings for all other living beings. Those who chant Rudra Geetam just as you did, the hymn imparted by Lord Shiva, will be granted all their desires and a brilliant intellect by me personally. The above slokam is in line with Srimad Bhagavatam. The next sloka describes the 2 additional boons Bhagavan grants on his own. Avapya gantam tanayam mahirugam Avapya gantam tanayam mahirugam Tayaramadvam dasalakshavatsarim Avapya gantam tanayam mahirugam Tayaramadvam dasalakshavatsarim Sudostu daksha nanu dakshanacha mam prayachayeti nyagadvamudaivataan mam prayachayeti Avapya kantam tanayam mahiruham tayaramadvam dasalaksha vatsarim sutostu daksho nanu takshanascha mam prayasyateti nyagado mudaivatan. Bhagavan said, you have joyfully carried out the command of your father. Your fame will spread to all worlds. You take the daughter of the trees, Marisha, as your wife and enjoy life with her 1,000,000 years. As illustrious son by name, Daksha will be born to you. This is the Daksha born to Prachetas. You should remember that. After the material impurities of your heart are completely burnt out through your unceasing devotion to me, you will all ascend to my abode as you desire. You may recall that in the very first Dasakam, Narayana Bhattadri said that Bhagavan gives boons to devotees knowing their desires even when bhaktas do not ask for anything. Namranam sannidhaste satatam abhipurastaihi anabhyartitanapi arthan kaman ajasram vitarasi paramananda sandram gatim cha namranam sannidhaste satatam abhipurastaihi anabhyartitanapi arthan kaman ajasram vitarasi paramananda sandram gatim cha sandram gatim cha. Namranam sannidhatse satatamapi purastaihi anabhyartitanapi arthan kaman ajasram vitarasi paramananda sandram gatim cha. You manifest before those who surrender unto you. You also bestow on them totally unasked for all that they desire, knowing their desire, and all the Purushartha, including the ultimate state of supreme bliss, and absolutely without their asking for it, even thinking about asking. The Lord bestowed on the Prachetas boons without their ever asking for, as he was pleased with them. What is the story of Marisha, daughter of the trees? Long ago, Indra sent a celestial nymph, Pramlocha, to sage Kandu to break his penance. The sage was drawn towards her on account of her beauty and sported with her for long. Pramlocha's daughter, Marisha, gave birth to trees, plants, and the like. In her previous birth, she was the queen of a king who died very young. She became a young widow with no children. She prayed to Bhagavan, who blessed her with 10 righteous husbands who would give her illustrious children. And these were the Prachetas, and had a number of sons. Tataschate bhutalarodhinaha tarum Tataschate bhutalarodhinattarum Krudadaganto druginena varita Tataschate bhutalarodhinattarum Krudadaganto druginena varita Dhrumaisya dattam tanayam avapyatam Tvaduktakalam sukhino bhire mire Tvaduktakalam sukhino bhire mire. In other words, Prachetas married Marisha. Marisha's prior boon from Bhagavan gave already the benefit of marrying 10 righteous husbands, namely Prachetas, and they had illustrious children. Oh Bhagavane, the Prachetas were engaged in penance for a prolonged period of 10,000 years. While they were so engaged, their father Prachina Barhis, who was the king, left the kingdom for Badrikashrama, the hermitage of sage Kapila. Therefore, there was no one to look after the kingdom. The entire earth got covered with dense forest. When the Prachetas came out of the ocean-like lake, they found the earth covered with tall trees, preventing all agriculture and other activities and causing total obstruction to people. Angered at this, they began to burn the trees down by producing fire and wind from their mouths. Brahma, realizing that the Prachetas would destroy all the creation, including the trees, manifested soon before them and prevented them from the reckless act. The left-out trees were frightened. They, as ordered by Brahma, gave their daughter Marisha to the Prachetas in marriage. That's how the marriage happened. O Bhagavane, thus the Prachetas got their wife, and as ordained by you, together they spent a long time, 1,000,000 years with her, and had numerous children. Avapyadaksham cha sutam krutadvaraha pracetaso naradalabdaya diya. Avapyadaksham cha sutam krutadvaraha pracetaso naradalabdaya diya. Avapuhu anandapadam tata vidattvamishat. Avapuhu anandapadam tata vidaha tvamisha vatalayanat tvam isha vatalayanat payimayam vatalayanat payimam. Avapya daksham cha sutam kritadvaraha pracetaso naradalabdhaya diya avapuhu anandapatam tadha vidaha tvamisha vatalayanatha pahimam. Bhattatri concludes, after getting a son named Daksha, the Prachetas, having performed the Brahma Satra and with the knowledge gained from sage Narada, attained the state of supreme bliss. Hey Vatalayanatha Isha, Tvam tata vidaha pahimam. May you of that nature protect me. Why the word Brahma Satra? What is Brahma Satra? It is an assembly of sages to expound the knowledge of the Supreme Spirit, namely Brahman. In other words, these are the people who make the inquiry and search for the answers about Supreme Brahman. As blessed by Bhagavan, the Prachetas got a son by Marisha. When he grew up as a young man, Prachetas left him in his mother's care and renounced the world to continue their tapas. Having undertaken the vow of inquiry into the Supreme Soul, namely Brahman, they received self-illumination from sage Narada. Narada Maharishi told them that the realization of the self was the accumulation and culmination of all blessings. And Sri Hari alone is the beloved self of all living beings. And it is he who enables Jiva to realize its true nature. Thus, having received instructions on the Atman from Narada himself, the Prachetas attained liberation. For context, you may remember that in Dasakam 16, we saw the unbecoming behavior of Daksha, a different Daksha, humiliating Lord Shiva and Sati, and thereby gets punished. He originally came about from the thumb of Brahma during the time of Swayambhuva Manu. That is the same Daksha who gets rebirth as the son of the noble Prachetas during the time of Chakshusha Manu. The original person also was named Daksha, but after his annihilation, he is born as a pure soul to Chakshusha Manu's time as the son of the noble Prachetas with all the noble qualities. After Dasakams 20, 21 and 22, Bhattadri is going to use Dasakam 23 to narrate the story of this Daksha who came in Chakshusha Manu as the son of noble Prachetas. We will soon see the story of Rishabha Yogeshwara in the next Dasakam, namely Dasakam 20. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Guruvāyūr. Narayana 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 Hare